and I don't know why our forces are running away with a simple charge order. I don't know. Really am completely lost for words about that, but yeah, well, hopefully we're going to be able to continue murdering. Cavalry technically is going to give us a much more decisive advantage in... What? Did I really just get shot in the... Yes. Indeed. A rather familiar sight, indeed, is it not? Yes. Another siege at Praven, and we are going to be leading an assault against the Vlandians. They basically have only 2 fiefs remaining. They have this and Overhaul, and I would love to be able to take both of them, but I don't think that is actually going to be happening in this episode, because unless we are wanting to very quickly rush over to Overhaul after this and build some very rudimentary siege towers and a battering ram as fast as we possibly can, then we're not going to be able to do it, because we only have 46 hours remaining until a peace agreement is forced through by the Sturgians. I really don't... Again, I don't really understand how that's even possible at this point, because the enemy has no one there. There's literally no one that is capable of making decisions, but, well, that's how it is. That's how it is. So, unfortunately, that is just what we're going to have to deal with. And, oh yeah, I think I actually do need to touch upon something real quick. Someone mentioned the little hitches that we see in the video. Yeah, that's not actually my recording software or anything like that. That is the game itself. And unfortunately, I believe that is due to the optimization, or it is due to a mod. I don't actually know which one it is. But as someone may know, may or may not know, in some cases, mods, if you remove them, they do tend to make things a little bit weird, and indeed they might even cause crashes dependent on what you're taking away. So I don't really want to change anything about my current setup, but, well, that's the reason why we're getting little frame hitches here and there. Hopefully the gameplay is smooth enough as it is, because I am literally most of the time playing above 60. And they've done personally, I feel like they've done a great job. The developers have done an absolutely fantastic job of increasing the performance of the game as development has continued, because I remember when I first started playing and I went into a siege, I would get about, I don't know, 20, 25, 30 FPS, and now that has significantly increased, because of course it has. You know, they've done all kinds of optimizations and cleaning up of the the real estate, making the performance just that much better. Now bear in mind that I'm not even playing on maximum settings. I'm not playing on maximum settings by any means. I am playing on settings that I found have provided the highest frame rate while providing also the highest stability and making it look pretty good too. Now, I don't know whether you've noticed, but I don't actually have shadows on. Yeah, shadows have been turned off for a very long time already, and that is just purely for the fact that when I had shadows turned on, it was extremely difficult to get anything above 40 FPS or so. So generally that might need a little bit more optimization, but of course I am not playing on the latest version of the game. If I was playing on the latest version, then I probably would be seeing much better performance in almost every aspect. But hopefully you can look past the little frame hitches here or there, because in my opinion it doesn't really take away too much from the experience, but if it does, then I apologize. I can't do much about it, unfortunately. Anyway, I think I'm probably going to be dead here. Am I? Am I going to die? I don't actually know, but I have been cut off from my units. This might be bad. Oh, this might be... Oh, dear. Yeah, this might be pretty bad. As you can see, they're literally blocking me all over the place at the moment. I'm not entirely sure where my units are. They seem to be a bit weird about what they're doing right now. I'm not entirely sure. As you can see... Wait a minute. Jump! I made it! Did you see that? Oh, I can't believe I made that. That jump was insane. And you might even say superhuman. Oh, yes. No, not really. think anyone could probably do that, but I think we narrowly avoided the spikes, which was quite nice. And we're just going to attempt to kill as many of these guys as we can get our hands on. Oh, that was a nice one right there, too. That was a Vlandian sharpshooter, no less. Get him. Get him. Oh, yeah, nice. Little bit of a crush through there. Oh, yeah, you thought you had me. Oh, yes. But no, you did not. Okay, come on, get him. Get this guy. Nice block from him right there. I also find that a bit funny. When you have a massive two-handed axe with a pretty significant amount of weight behind it, and then all of a sudden this guy with a hand axe is capable of blocking it. It's just a bit weird. Anyway, I don't know whether you've noticed, but it seems to me like whenever you give the charge order nowadays, seems like the enemy decides to just run... Oh, not the enemy. The allied forces decide to run away. Not entirely sure why they decide to do that, to be honest. I think that is a bit weird. But, oh well. Yeah, that is actually very strange. And now we have given them significant breathing room. I actually wanted to tell my forces to charge because it just makes all the sense. You know, being ultra aggressive in this situation is definitely something I think is beneficial. I don't think it's a good idea to be cautious, especially considering the enemy is vastly outmatched in terms of their forces. Just look at them. They have mostly militia archers and regular militia spearmen and things like that. And they generally will not be very difficult to kill for our units whatsoever, but they are providing a pretty significant challenge. And I don't know why our forces are running away with a simple charge order. I don't know. Really am completely lost for words about that, but yeah, well, hopefully we're going to be able to continue murdering. Yes, continue murdering. Oh, they got me. They got me. Oh well, never mind, never mind. Let's actually take a look and see exactly what is happening here. Okay, so now these guys are charging in. This is very strange because usually they will just auto-delegate after the fact. But I already put them on auto-delegation, so they should have been doing this beforehand, but it seems a bit weird, doesn't it? Seems a bit weird. Alright, well, anyway. My army composition has changed once again, because I think it changed actually in the end of the previous episode, because we have been losing so many of our Huskars. I have not been able to replenish them as fast as I possibly could want to, because here's the thing, there are a few noble villages where I can recruit from, and I think someone actually asked the question about how I can recruit so many. Well, that's the thing. When I recruit, I can literally put them in the garrison, and then I can save them, I can level them up with bandits and so on and so forth. But basically, whenever you do an auto-resolve with Bannerlord tweaks, it gives more experience to your troops. So obviously that is indeed a very efficient way of gaining experience for these guys. And again, I am producing a YouTube series, so obviously that does indeed make a difference in my choices when it comes to my mod settings and stuff like that, because you may not want to play with as much experience gain or influence gain or renown gain or any of those things, but for the sake of somewhat swift action to happen, I'm going to need to increase that a little bit, because otherwise I'm just going to literally be fighting bandits for 10 episodes, and I don't think either one of us wants that. But anyway, the point is, apart from the fact that I'm using Bannerlord tweaks to make things a little bit easier on myself to train up units and so on, how do I get those units to begin with? Well, noble units are not that difficult to get because of another mod that I have, which increases the relation of notables, and that is indeed what you would expect notables to be. Notables are the important NPCs in these villages, and it doesn't matter whether they are noble NPCs, whether they are having nobles available, or whether it is regular units available. But basically, as long as you increase your relation with people in general by fighting bandits, because I do have a mod, you can see what it's called in the description. I think it's called something like True Bandit Relations or something like that. not entirely sure. There's a whole suite of mods that are made by the same guy, I believe, and he has done a fantastic job, because there's a huge array of different mods that I have installed from him specifically. And it's basically things like true arena experience, true something or other. I can't remember all of them, but there's a whole bunch of things that begin with true. And so if you go onto Nexus and search true, you might be able to find a whole bunch of them. I'd recommend checking them out, because they do improve the game experience quite significantly with a whole host of quality of life improvements. And the true bandit relations one, basically what that does is when you defeat a bandit nearby a town or nearby a village, it increases the relation by a small amount of that village or of that town. That really makes a huge difference. And you'd think to yourself, oh, well, you know, gaining 1 relation or 2 relation here or there, that's really not going to make too much difference, is it? Well, it actually does. If you think about it, look at how many bandits are in the area right now. I could literally fight 4 bandit groups right this second. Well, not this second, but, you know, within the next couple of moments, and literally increase the amount of relation that I have with this village or that one, or, well, not that one, because that's a hideout, but you know what I mean. That's basically what I'm talking about. So if you have that mod, it does make it a lot easier to recruit nobles. Otherwise, you just have to rely on RNG. And personally, I'm not a big fan of relying on RNG unless I'm playing a game like XCOM or something where, you know, 99% chance to hit when the alien is literally in your face, and then you miss. That's also some sort of thing that I'm not particularly a big fan of, but it does add to the tension, doesn't it? It does add to the tension. But RNG in this case, in terms of being able to acquire quests, to be able to improve your relations with those NPCs, I personally think that quests should be available, not all the time, but I think they should definitely be available relatively often. Because let's say that you miss out on a quest just purely because you're not nearby that particular village, because you're off adventuring somewhere. Let's say you're a trader and you want to, you know, build up an army of noble units or something like that. And, well, you're going to be going and you're going to be trading all over the place, aren't you? And in that case, obviously, if you don't have the ability to return... Oh, yeah, I don't want to do this, actually. I want to go and get the siege towers. So let me just do that. We're still building the siege camp. This is very problematic because they're going to go through the peace agreement very quickly indeed. And if I can't build any of these things, it's going to be very, 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 very bad. I mean, maybe not so bad because Overhaul is basically the last one they have, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, as I was saying, pretty much just make these quests more readily available, or make them have some kind of stipulation. So, in other words, have us, and by us I mean have the player character... Oh, there we go. They made peace. Yeah, as I thought. But that is indeed the last fief that the Vlandians have. So technically we're okay, you know, we're okay in that regard. And I'm actually going to go over to Veron Castle because there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there for some reason. And we're going to be disbanding the army as well. But yeah, as I say, if you're relying on RNG to have a quest become available to you just so that you can, you know, improve your noble relations. Let me actually just see if I can show you an example of this. And this is a town, actually this is a village that I've never ever been to before, and as you can see I have zero relation with these guys. Now this guy in particular is the fellow that would allow me to recruit really good troops. As you can see, I can get Vlandian Knights, and these Vlandian Knights will eventually level up into Vlandian Banner Knights, which are indeed the noble highest tier that the Vlandians can go for. And that's the thing. Unfortunately, he does not have the quest at the moment. This is the guy that has the quest, and as you can see from the recruitment screen, you can basically get Vlandian Footmen, which are the regular units, not the noble units. So, in my opinion, having a quest system that is entirely reliant on RNG. Yeah, okay, that might be more realistic in some aspects, because it might then be like, oh, you know, this guy now needs some help with this bandit hideout, or that bandit hideout, or an infestation of bandits somewhere, or, I don't know, a caravan quest in the case of going into a town or something. Then yeah, that's definitely going to be more realistic. However, from a gameplay perspective, I feel like that's going to be quite frustrating for the player eventually, because if you are someone that wants to get a good amount of noble units, it's going to be very difficult for you to do that without receiving the actual quest. And I believe that someone actually did say that in the comments. I think that was accompanying the question of how I gained so many. And that's the point. I've actually almost run out of Huskarls, so I'm actually starting to incorporate other units into my army now that I can get my hands on. So anything really high tier that I have in my garrisons from various vassals providing those units to me, then I'll use them. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I can do at this point. I don't think I can really do much more than that to sort of influence things, but I am, of course, every so often returning back to Sturgian territory to try and gain more noble units, and then if I can, then I'll level them up by, again, fighting a whole bunch of bandits and stuff like that. You obviously would not want to see that, because it is literally just me going in, auto-resolving with a whole band of these noble recruits and just hoping that most of them survive. But generally, I mean, you can see exactly what I mean by that, by the date as well. I don't know whether you've noticed, but the date down at the bottom there is significantly advanced. It is literally, I think this might be, it's probably not the longest campaign that I've ever had, but it is definitely one of the longest so far. It seems to me like the date has advanced extremely fast this time around. Not entirely sure how far Byron got, because Byron was the guy in the Khuzait Khanate series. He was the main character in that, and I don't remember the date for him, but maybe it was more. Maybe I think it was probably more. Ooh, wait a minute. Should I go after Kareth? I think we should. I think we should. Let us try. He's chasing me? Are you serious, sir? Does he really? Okay, he desires a conflict with us. Okay, no, apparently he doesn't. Now he's running away. Okay, he's probably going to be able to escape. Oh, no. Okay, apparently he has just been completely locked down. I would love to be able to persuade this guy to join us. All right. Let's see if we can do it. Oh, ineffective. Are you serious? A 68% chance. I was very much hoping we'd be able to get Kareth. He is one of my favorite vassals to try to recruit. I'm hopeful that we might be able to get... never mind. Yeah, I was hopeful that we might be able to get a critical success on the final conversation option, but I am going to be attacking him, and I will literally just auto-resolve against him, I think. And I'm kind of in two minds about what to do here. Personally, I do not want to execute him because, as I say, in the past, in previous series, he has been basically one of the most loyal vassals I've ever had until he ended up leaving later on. But we were able to then regain him at a later point. And he stayed with us through thick and thin like no one's business. Like, he was very loyal in the hardest of circumstances. And I know that he's just lines of code, technically, but I'm going to let him go just for sentimentality, I suppose. Just for a little bit of nostalgia's sake. And don't worry, we're going to be continuing to execute as many people as we can get our hands on. But Kareth, I'd like another shot at potentially persuading him. We'll see if we can maybe make that happen. Anyway, as you can see, there's actually an army coming up here. These guys are significant. They have a lot of very, very good units. You can see that very clearly there. They have... What? Yeah, no wonder the Sturgian armies were eliminated so incredibly quickly. Okay, yeah. They have, let me see if I can see. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let me just pause that real quick. They have 64 palace guards and 75, which is the main thing that I'm actually scared of right here, 75 heavy cavalry. Those are their noble units. Yeah, those are their noble units. That is something I am... that's very, very bad. Okay, let me see if I can maybe... I would like to be able to run away, but also get Sophalia into a potential attack because... Oh, there's two. Right. There's actually another one over there. Whoa, okay. No wonder the ASERAI are giving us some problems. Let's have a look. Yeah, their combat strength is pretty good. In comparison to the Khuzait, they're actually doing much better. So it seems like the ASERAI might very well be our mortal opponent in this particular series. We'll see. On the other hand, this army right here is not looking very good whatsoever. They don't really have anything too dramatic for us to worry about, but this one, oh yes, we certainly do. But I am actually going to try and get into a little bit of combat with this person right here. We're just going to do an auto-resolve straight up. 3 deaths only. We will take her prisoner and indeed execute. Boom. There we go. Anything we can do to try and reduce the power of the ASERAI at this point is going to be extremely useful to us. So if I can capture any vassal, if I can get my hands on anyone, then I'll try to do a little bit of choppy action. That's what we like to see. All right, so wait, Ortisia is actually part of the Western Empire. I'd love to be able to take this, but I am kind of diminished at the moment. Oh, Unkid? Wait a minute. Unkid is the liege of the ASERAI. Okay. I think we're going to have to attack him. We're going to go straight in and attack him here. I'm not going to auto-resolve just purely for the fact that he is indeed the liege, the leader, the king, if you will, of the main opponent. So we are definitely going to give him the respect that he deserves by going in manually against him. And personally, I don't think he's really going to do very well against us. I have 100... What? I have 121 cavalry? Well, I must have taken a lot of cavalry without realizing it. I'm not a big fan of that, actually, even though cavalry technically is going to give us a much more decisive advantage in... What? Did I really just get shot in the... Yes. Indeed. I got shot where the sun don't shine. Well, that's not very nice, but oh well. Anyway, yeah, cavalry do generally tend to give you much more advantage in auto-resolves, but... Yeah, I'm not a big fan of using them that often, especially in a Sturgian series. Although Sturgia does have some very good mounted skirmishers, and they have proven themselves very deadly against me in the past. So obviously, they can do some damage. They can definitely do some damage. So yeah. Anyway, let's see if I can maybe do some of my own damage here. Ooh, if only this was a slightly longer axe, I would have probably been able to do quite a good job here. Oh, really? Miss? Okay, apparently so. Apparently so. All right, well, let me move my cavalry over here. I'm going to actually start moving towards the main bulk of the enemy's forces. Unfortunately, as the AI tends to do, they are indeed hiding in the tree line, which is a very good tactical option for them. Don't get me wrong, this is absolutely perfect strategy for them to utilize. However, it is very annoying for me, of course, with my newly acquired massive amounts of cavalry for some reason. But anyway, let's see what we can do here. I do have a couple of Vlandian crossbowmen as well, because as I said before, I'm starting to use a couple of Vlandian units because I think that in general it would probably make sense for us to try and utilize a couple of the units that we have indeed assimilated into the Sturgian culture, because of course we have just eliminated the Vlandians. Well, kind of, you know. They just have Overhaul, but that's just a formality, really. But anyway, I am going to get my archers over here. I guess we could just tell our cavalry to charge in, because there's pretty much not much we can really do in terms of strategy here. Because otherwise, it's basically going to be a case of, oh no, is my horse literally going to die now? Please don't. Okay, there we go. But yeah, otherwise it's basically going to be a case of me just coming around and trying to get to the back of them, and then the enemy just literally backpedaling all the way up the mountain. And that's not something that I really want to see, because it's going to make it even harder for our infantry forces. Let me tell them to charge in now as well. It seems like we do have some ranged units over here too. Unfortunately, the ASERAI did take up a really good vantage point, and that has resulted in them being much better in terms of their defenses than they otherwise would have been. But I'm going to get in there. I actually feel quite sluggish on a horse in comparison to being on foot, because of course I do. You know, I have, what, 100 and something, 130 something in athletics, and in riding skill I have, what, 30? Don't I have literally 30 or something like that? Oh yeah, that was a nice slice as well. Get him. There we go. That is what I like to see. Alright, so Unkid is done. He is more than likely going to be taken prisoner as a result of this, unless he actually dies. He might even die from the battle itself. No. Okay, he actually did survive. I think we probably would have lost less units if I had literally just done an auto-resolve against him, but as I said, I did want to provide him with a little bit of respect before we execute him. But yes, let's not talk about that. Let's just move swiftly on with the execution, and there you go. Diul is the new ruler of the ASERAI. And you know, I kind of feel like the game should take a little bit more into account when dealing with faction commands and faction management and stuff like that, because when there are no vassals left, you'd kind of think that maybe the faction would either raise up a number of regular units from the garrison and create new vassals and new clans out of those, which would probably make more sense than the other thing where all the lands just transfer over automatically, because obviously those soldiers in the garrisons, they might indeed want to, you know, pledge allegiance to the new conquerors of the land, potentially. You know, that's obviously a possibility. But they might also be thinking to themselves that they would prefer to not do that and indeed try to fight back as much as they possibly can. So it's a bit of half and half for me, particularly, because if you did add that option for them to basically be like, hey, can we join you? You know, or you can offer them amnesty and then they can basically join you, and then, you know, maybe whoever has the most persuasive argument, who knows? Maybe they'll implement that or something. But as you can see, we have another army being lost right about here, just purely for the fact that the ASERAI are running around with such large armies. Thankfully, we are not losing anyone to death at the moment, and that is obviously a very positive thing indeed, but we are losing a lot of combat strength. As I say that, I think we had about 20, didn't we have 28,000 or something? And now we've got 26,000, so we are losing quite a bit, but I have reduced the ASERAI's power as well at the same time by eliminating a couple of vassals. Anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, then please, by all means, give it a like. And otherwise, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.